Hi folks, this is Rose from Moon Rose's Garden, and today we are going to make a couple of simple stretch bracelets. Now these are what I typically call aroma bracelets because we're going to be using lava beads, which can be, can add a scent to with a cotton swab or cotton ball. Just swab it on the black beads. Now some of these might be waxed. If you find that you have some waxed beads in your stuff, then I would suggest putting them in a glass of really hot water and letting the wax come out so that they're more porous. But anyway, let's turn down and let's get working on these two bracelets. Okay, over here I have a pile of lava stones as well as 3 purple agates, a large whole bead, and some daisy spacers. On the other side over here, we have some, I think this is moss agate, to be truthful with you. It's green. A pile of lava beads, a big spacer, and some washer spacers. So, if I need more lava stones than that, I have plenty. So what I'm going to do is just cut a big length of string or cord, whatever you want to call it. This is about 12 inches. And you can cut this with your scissors. So I'll put the rest of this aside so we want to do the other one. So the first thing you want to do is take hold of your cord on both sides and just stretch it about 4 or 5 times. Really stretch it, not so you'd worry about breaking it, but still stretching it, because it will stretch out on its own as time goes by. So let's put a bead stopper on one side and get to work. Now I haven't decided on a pattern yet, but obviously this is going to be the end bead. So we'll put it in there. And I think we'll use a little 6 beside it here. Yeah, that'll work good. And then a washer spacer. I tend to put a spacer between every one of my sets of beads. You don't have to. Or you can put more than one. I've been known to triple them up before. So let's design a pattern here before we start going and get a mess going here. So first things is these green ones are obviously wanting to be the focals. And then I'm going to take my 10 millimeters and put between them. No, I'm not. I'm going to put the 10s on either side, and we will put some 6s in between. And so that sort of brackets them. And then, of course, we'll have a spacer between each one. It looks like I probably am going to need more spacers, but that's fine. I've got plenty. I've got a whole bag full of them up here. So then we'll go to a 6 on either side, and then an 8. I think 2 8s in a row. Another 6. And I do need a 6 over here at this side, so I may need to get another one out. And if I do, that's fine. We can actually just steal it from this side over here if we need to. In fact, let's do that right now, because we'll need one over here on this side. 2 and 2. So let's get stringing. It may end up being more than I need. Quite possibly it is, because, well, you want it to be about 7 1/4 inches for the average size wrist. But if it gets bigger than that, well, a little bigger is all right, because, if a man should want this, a man's wrist tends to be a little bigger than a woman's. Though my husband's is only like 1/4 inch bigger than my own, so it's not a big difference. But I know people that have 8-inch wrists and a little longer even, so it's fine however you want to do it. If you want it longer, And I have a friend who has a 6 1/4 inch wrist. One of my sisters does as well. So, you know, it's a matter of how big you want it. I usually make mine about 7 1/4 because that is the average size wrist, and well, average size is average size. So more people have that size than any other, so now, because I'm using the washer spacers, this is actually sort of masculine looking to me. And if you wanted to just put all your gemstones, I always use some gemstones in my bracelets to have that accent. You could bunch them up as all 3 of them all together, spread them out further than one being, oh, I wanted a little one in between there. I was just saying put them all together, and then I started to do that. But you'll have to excuse Rory. He wants my attention and I'm busy, so. The funny thing is, even though he wants my attention, he won't let me do much with him. Definitely not pick him up. Rarely it lets me touch him, so why he's calling me is beyond me. But he frequently does that. I sometimes think he's just trying to find where I'm at. Okay, we need a few more washer spacers, so I'll get those out in just a moment here. Let's see, where did I put them? There they are. Only need 3 or 4 more. Looks like 1, 2, 3 more, 4 more. So oops, where are your hole? There you are. That's one of the things with working with the lava stones. Finding the hole is not always easy because there are multiple holes. But the one that goes through is the one you need. Now let's see how long this is. I think it's longer than I want it. Oh yeah, 8 1/4. So we're probably going to take a few off. But first we're going to wrap it around and bring it through here. And pull her tight and check it on the bracelet sizer. Now see, it's not as long as it says it is. When I put it on here, it drops down to about 7 1/2. So want to make sure I have this good and tight before I say for sure that's the size it's going to be. And it's dropping, like I say, to 7 1/2, 7 3/4. But there is a gap of space in there. I can see it. So tighten her up again. Get her good and tight. And let's check her again. Yeah, it's about 7. I'm gonna go with this size. It's good for me. So what I need to do now is pull that one back out from over there. And I want to get them, the ends, about the same length, and I don't want to drop it. like I just did. So we want to get our ends about the same length. That's good right there. Now give her some more stretches on the end here. You can give it all the way through. And then we're going to tie our knot. So to tie the knot, get it good and tight, then push your two fingers here, bring it all the way around both cords. Then take this, come on baby, all the way through. Now want to do both threads all the way through between both fingers and then do it a second time. Now this is why I get a large hole bead, because I do this really big knot, but this is the most secure knot that I know of. Now as you pull it out from off your finger, pull it tight. There we go. Now bring it, then just pull it a couple of times again. And in all actuality, that will tighten your knot up instead of loosening it like with a lot of knots. So now we're going to just cut the excess string off. I usually leave about 1/6 of an inch. See how much I had left? But if you remember, as I went across my knot, how little I had as I was working with it. See? So you want that extra length. Now, the last thing we want to do, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just do it for that extra security, but this knot will actually hold, and you don't need this. But I'm going to put a little Hypo cement on here. Now, these are the only things I use Hypo cement for. Usually I use E6000 on most of my gluing, except for when I'm doing leather, and then I use Loctite, gel Loctite. But I don't use that on any, definitely do not use super glue or Loctite, as the case may be, on your stretch bracelets. It dries too hard, and your stretch bracelet will snap right where that's at if you do that. So now I'm going to feed it into this barrel bead here, this large hole, and then it'll dry in there and it will keep it in place. So there is our first bracelet done. Isn't that pretty? So let's see what it actually ended up being. I'm not going to put it on because that's still wet and I don't want to get it. Now see, it ended up being between 7 and 7 1/4, more like 7. And it was measuring at 8. Now, you got to remember when you're making a bracelet, especially a stretch bracelet, since there's no clasp or anything on here, that your beads go into the middle as the circumference comes across, and it'll take up that space. So next, let's get some more thread out, and we'll start working on this one with the daisy chain. So I generally just grab a goodly amount, at least a foot. So there's that. Next we do our stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 seems good. So now I'm going to put my bead stopper on and and this time let's start with a 8. And then of course, like I say, we're doing the daisy. Now we're going to start making our pattern up, and because I have these different colored beads, I think I'll put this clearer one in the middle, and this time I am going to put my bigger ones in here because they are a darker color, so like so. Then we'll go to an 8, and maybe a 6, 6 pattern, and a 6 over here, and then 2 8s, 2 8s, another one of these guys. And let's get a couple more of those out. We need the extra length, I think. So, one. And then, of course, this will go on this side to match this one over here. And it looks like I probably am going to need some more daisy spacers. So we'll get some more of those out as well. And there's a new pile of daisy spacers. There's probably more than I need, but I can always put them away. And let's start stringing this baby. So we'll go to this little guy. I got glitter on my hand. I was making fairy dust necklaces earlier, which is more or less just a bottle of glitter with a pretty little bead strand. And so I got glitter on my hand, obviously. I try to change the pattern up a little bit when I make these so they don't look exactly alike. But you could do dozens of them exactly alike if you wanted to, or just change out your focal beads. And I am going to do something a little different. I'm going to put a double daisy here, and then my pretty bead, and then I'm going to double up my daisy spacers between these ones too. There's another simple way to do a change in your bracelet, is just how many spacers you put in. See how much of a difference that looks right there? So just keep going down the line. And I'm going to do doubles until I get back over to the other side of my pretty purple beads, which I believe are dyed agate actually. So one more set of doubles, and then we'll be going to regulars again. Oop. See how that is? Now we go back to the regular side. Even doubling up, I got more daisy spacers out than I needed to. But, like I say, easily put away. Okay, here's the last one. Let's push these to the side. And now we'll measure this. And again, we're about 8.5 according to this. I think we were only at 8 the last time though, so maybe maybe this one will be a little bigger, maybe won't be. Let's find out. We're gonna bring her through here. And then I'm going to just tie the threads together, or the elastics, so that I can hold them tight as we measure it on our bracelet thing. So slide her down on here. Now she looks like she's going to be about 7.5. And I'm going to let her be that big. So the next thing we want to do, of course, is pull our elastics back out of here. And then we're going to tie it. As I say, we just want to take the knot out here that we put in here. Bring one of these elastics to the other side, so we only have one with going in through it yet. Now we want to make our knot. So again, for the knot, we want to stretch it 3 or 4 times. You can do the whole thing or just the ends. And then you want to wrap it around 2 fingers, go through with both lines, go through a second time with both lines, and then pull it up. Now you want to pull it up good and tight, so keep good pressure on this as you release your fingers. There we go. Now this time I even had more line than I did the last time, but that's all right. So now we're going to cut this little bit off. Throw that little bit away. Get the Hypo cement out. And put it on the knot. Like I say, with this knot, you really don't need to glue it. I just do it for an extra little bit of stability. Get your little pin back in there really quick, because it's going to keep coming out. It loves to just pour out of there. So then pull your knot into your large hole bead. Now I used a very large hole bead for these. You don't have to usually have this big, but it's better to have big than little. And there is this one finished. So let's get our bracelet sizer out now and see what it ended up being after it was finished. Oh, 7.5. So now this one will fit someone with a larger wrist. So we have a 7.5, and I believe this one was a 7.25, right? Oh, nope, exactly 7. So we have a 7 and a 7.5. I'll get those put away in a minute. And there are our bracelets. Now again, this one I can probably put on now because, well, it's probably dry by now. See how that fits just me just perfectly? So, and this one would be a little big, but it will work for somebody with a larger wrist. There we go. There's our 2 stretch bracelets. This one with, I believe it's moss agate, and the washer spacers. And this one with the dyed purple agate with daisy spacers. The daisy spacers I doubled up, as you'll recall, on these beads. So I think these look really cool. And I hope you enjoyed making these with me. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.